Welcome to the July 31st Sunday service of the Unitarian Universalist Church of St. Petersburg. My name is Ben Atherton-Zeman. I'm the minister here. I am excited to bring you today's worship service, Humor and Laughter as a Spiritual Practice, along with today's fantastic worship associate, Bill Motter.
Thanks, Ben. We are a people of many beliefs, but we share a common faith. That what we do in this world matters, and that we are connected to one another and to our planet. Whoever you are, wherever you are in your journey, you are welcome here.
Thank you, Bill. We have three announcements this morning, and one of them is self-evident. The air conditioning is working fine everywhere in both buildings except for here. Self-evident except to those of you online. For once, being online is a distinct advantage. I came in at 8, turned on the air conditioning, it was 88 degrees, and it remains 88 degrees. Some of them are in fact blowing air, but it's not that cool, and I'm not sure what's up, so thank you to all who set up the fans to try to blow the cool air. If you make it through the service, and I hope you all do, our coffee hour will be next door where it is air conditioned. That's not funny, by the way. There's two not funny. Like, a lot of it's going to be funny, and that's less funny. Seriously, like, raise your hand or talk to your neighbor if you need some refrigerated water. We have some water bottles in the kitchen. Kevin has those. And for the second announcement, I'm really excited to welcome my friend, and I'll let him come to the front, Nick Carey, who is an organizer for a group called Faith in Florida. Nick, welcome to UUC.
A couple of times and having worshiping all for the first time. So as Ben said, I'm in our mission, loving coffee instruct me how that's just another way of saying what matters. We're all connected to each other. So we are a statewide organization of across 35 countries. The way that we do that's that I think we're doing in Dallas County, especially that I do a lot of work around. I know y'all are all familiar with that because I know how passionate y'all are with that. But basically, since the invasion of So, at the local level, we do have some to try and address this. One of the things we've been advocating last year is the city of St. Petersburg to declare a housing state of emergency, which would allow residents to bring past 25 more families forward to bring real quick on the deadline to get stuff on the ballot here this year. So we are going to take some big mobilizing action on Wednesday night. We're going to have a rally from City Hall starting at 7 p.m. And we are going to stay all night at City Hall until at 9 a.m. next morning. We're going to show up at the first 11 a.m. They need to let voters decide what they're voting on Wednesday. We're just allowing us to do so. So, I know everyone has a different degrees of adventure in them, so don't feel like if you show up at 7 you have to stay all night or anything, but you are welcome to stay as long as you want and to be part of this together with all of y'all.
much. Thank you. Thank you. I will be there Wednesday night. I will not be staying all night, but I will be there again on Thursday morning, and any of you who want to come with me, I would be thrilled if you would. You have more announcements in your order of service, including about the audio assistance, which thanks to Tom Archibald, I'm not seeing Tom, is now there's Tom, is now working much better. So Lee, I don't know if any of the greeters got to you, but Lee, you have an audio assistance device if you want it, and others who need it, you can use it too. Check for the other announcements in your order of service, and we have one final one from Bill.
Thanks, Ben. Our second announcement is this. Please continue to put food in every garbage container in the building. In fact, throw some food on the ground while you're at it. There should be food in every
Bill, Bill, who submitted that announcement?
I don't know. That's what it says.
Sorry, was it the church mice? Did the church mice submit that announcement? Because that's incorrect. So Kelly has made these signs for every garbage bag can, except for the ones you should do food in. Thank you, but ignore the church mice announcement. What you really should do is throw away food only in the covered trash can. Thank you, by the way, where is he? Jeff Bambro, for encouraging so many of the church mice to leave. We haven't seen that this week. All right. How did that go? This is the humor. It's like how we rehearsed it. I want to give a special welcome to any newcomers, and I've talked to a few of you. And if you want a church where we believe that science is real, that we believe that housing should be a right, not a privilege, that we believe that climate change is real, I have good news. You may have found your church home. If you're new to UU St. Peter, even relatively new, you want to wave your hand and see how many, yeah, hello, with hand wavers. You're under no obligation to say anything, but if you want, you can stand as you're willing and able, just say a couple words of your name and where you're from and what brought you here. And I do not hear well, so I will probably not hear most of it, but I'll repeat what I do hear so that those online can hear it.
Hi, I'm Wendy Snyder. Very happy to be here. I am not new to UU, but I am new to this church.
Welcome. Welcome.
Thank you. Welcome, Wendy Snyder. Not new to UU, but new to UU St. Pete.
Hi, David Booth, and I've been in UU since 1979. Probably my 8th congregation.
David Koo is 8th time here. New to UU also. And hey, come on.
Hi everybody, my name is Eric Kaiser. Recently moved to St. Pete, originally from the Philadelphia area, Pennsylvania. Also new to UU meetings, so thanks for
Welcome, Eric.
Hello, I'm Michael Rowe. I'm a visiting from Lakeland, a long-time community member there.
Welcome, Michael Rowe. Long time member there. Anyone else?
Don Frank is for UU.
I heard Dawn and I heard another UU.
Don Frank is for Beach.
Donna Frank and something Beach. I'm sorry.
In Smyrna.
New Smyrna.
New Smyrna. I'm new to Florida, so I don't know what New Smyrna is. Glad you're here. Yay.
I'm Jesse. I'm for a couple of years at St. Pete, but first time here. Next show, but this is that resonates with anyone, and just trying to find a welcoming place.
Very welcome.
Former Jehovah's Witness, if anyone wants to talk to him about that, you're not alone, I believe, in this congregation. And I saw there was one we didn't get to. Hey.
Hi, my name is Carey, and this is my first time here. Reading about this place for a long time. My wife and I live up in Shore Acres. I'm a TV and film producer and also a stand-up comedian. And I'm strictly here for new material.
Fantastic. Welcome. Strictly here for new material. First time here. Welcome. Hey. Yeah, no, you.
Okay, I just want to make sure. Hi, I'm Karen Chigendot. This is my first time here. I'm not new to UU. My husband and I were married by a UU minister 21 years ago. I'm new to St. Pete, just moved from Sarasota.
Fantastic, Karen. Sarasota Union St. Pete, not new to UU. Welcome. Anyone else? All right, well, Kelly Olson is live streaming today. Our greeters are Pat Flynn, Susan Bernor, Barbara and Tom Archibald, and Patty Canewood. Coffee hour was prepared by our own Kevin Wemble, who never gets thanked, but he's always in there doing all the work. And let's take a moment to greet our neighbor, and remember to get consent if you're gonna like shake hands or hug them.
Oh no.
Hi, Joanne. Oh, you have a new hair look.
How are you? Okay.
Our flaming chalice is the symbol of Unitarian Universalism. It is a symbol of the sacred, the quest for truth, the warmth of community, the light of reason, and so much more. When Reverend lights our chalice, I invite you to say our covenant out loud. The words can be found in the text chat. Feel free to follow along with the two hands. Love, spirit is church, and service is law. This is our great covenant, to dwell together in peace, to seek the truth in love, and to help one another. And now, please stand as you're able, and we'll sing in the great hymnal, hymn number 368, Now Let Us Sing. And this will be led by Trish and Ben.
Thank you, Phil. Thank you, Trish. So there's two parts to this. The deep voice part is, what's my note? Now let us sing, 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 sing. And then the higher voices part is, all right, you'll get it. Let's do it.
It's not that part. How about that?
Yeah.
Are you ready?
Yeah, whenever you're ready. Now let us sing, 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 sing. Now let us sing, 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 sing. In every voice we have a friend. We will sing to the power
An atheist was taking a walk through the woods, admiring all that the accident of evolution had created. What majestic trees, what powerful rivers, what beautiful animals, he said to himself. As he was walking alongside the river, he heard a rustling in the bushes behind him. He turned to look and saw a 7-foot grizzly charge towards him. The atheist ran as fast as he could. He looked over his shoulder and saw that the bear was closing in on him. He looked over his shoulder again, and the bear was even closer. His heart was pumping frantically, and he tried to run even faster, but he tripped and fell to the ground. He rolled over to pick himself up, but saw the bear right on top of him, reaching for him with his left paw and his right paw in the air to strike him. At that instant, the atheist cried out, "Oh my God!" Time stopped. The bear froze. The forest was silent. As a bright light shone upon the man, a voice came out of the sky. "You deny me existence for all these years. Teach others I don't exist, and even credit creation to a cosmic accident. Do you expect me to help you out of this predicament? Am I now to count you as a believer?" The atheist looked directly into the light. "It would be hypocritical of me to suddenly ask you to treat me as a Christian now. But perhaps, could you make the bear a Christian?" "Very well," said the voice. The light went out, and the sounds of the forest resumed. And then the bear dropped his right paw, brought both paws together, and bowed his head and spoke. "Lord, for this food which I am about to eat, I am truly
Now we come to the time in our worship service for joys, sorrows, and concerns. Do we have anyone to put the stone in the
Yes,
pew?
Susan
Thank
Bernard
you
is
so
going to
much,
help us
Susan
out.
Bernard. The service is brought to you by YouTube Live, so please type, those of you who are online, your joys and sorrows into the text chat. And during the week, if you have a joy, sorrow, or concern, you can write it to me, minister@uustpete.org. If you want it to remain off YouTube, where all can see, let me know that when you submit it. And Susan will now place the stones. And first is yours.
The first stone is a stone of both sorrow and joy for Mary Neal Jones. Last week, she lost her husband, Barry. She will have an informal memorial service, celebration of life for him in St. Petersburg in the fall or winter when the weather is less intense. In a few minutes, we will read 2 emails from her about the final days of Barry.
I know that's news to a lot of you, so I'm going to just ask you to take a breath or two with me before we move on. Our next is a stone of joy from our own Janae Johnson. Her grandfather was in the hospital, but is doing well. And Janae says, her grandmother. Janae says her grandmother chose to stay in the hospital to take a break from her grown children. And also a second stone from Janae this week. Her gregarious uncle Yogi, who I've gotten to meet, turned 89 this week. Happy birthday, Uncle Yogi.
And a stone of concern for Debbie Pullis-Carter, who is being treated for some unsettling health conditions and was facing eviction last week. Debbie also asked to place a stone of joy, saying she has the best friends in the world who helped her get through this, including friends in our congregation.
Thinking about you, Debbie. I know you're online. A stone of joy from El Tucalila Maldonado, who was just given the title of Tequina from her tribe, the Taino nation. Tequina roughly translates, they tell me, to honored teacher. Congratulations, Debbie.
And a stone of sorrow from Ruby Atwood, who says the following. Earlier this year, my mother had a bad fall and sustained a serious head injury. Since her fall, she doesn't want to have anything to do with me anymore. She has told my siblings not to give me updates about her, and I'm trying to not be angry.
A stone of concern from Joanne Kellner, who says she's about to lose her job and her insurance. This is happening while she is undergoing chemotherapy for breast cancer.
And a stone of joy from Ryan Richardson, who says, thanks for all the prayers, they worked. I got the job.
Congratulations, Ryan. Anyone has a lot of you using them as fans, but if you have written on it, you go ahead and bring it up, David, and we'll read it. First, I have a stone of sorrow from Alan Hitzman. Brenda's uncle, Aubrey Glenn Smith, passed away this week. He was a vibrant, very attractive guy. No, active. Also attractive. Very active guy until the very end. He was 98.
And a stone of concern from Ryan, who asking for prayers for Matt Schinicker, who has been in the hospital for over 30 days.
And we have a stone of joy and concern from David who just graduated as a guardian ad litem, an advocate for foster kids, can make a huge impact on a child's life. Apparently they need 1,600 GALs, have only 1,000, so talk to David if you're interested. And let's put one final stone in there for all the joys, sorrows, and concerns that remain in our hearts, perhaps too tender yet to speak out loud. Let's take a moment of silence together. The mystery is that we are connected even when we feel apart. So let us rejoice in our beloved community that makes of the many one. So may it be. Now today's worship service is an all ages service. Next week's will also be one. So the children will remain here in the sanctuary as Trish and I sing hymn. It's really hymn number 2. This Little Light of Mine. So is it really hymn number 2? Is that
No, I don't think so. I think it's a traditional hymn, and
Oh,
that's
it's not
just
in
the
your-
second one that we're doing.
118 is the
118. Hymn number 118. Please rise as you are willing and able. This Little Light of Mine. Thanks.
Are you up for a little bit of alternative lyrics after the traditional first one?
Yeah.
All right, let's do that then. Let me find it here.
You want to speak to the alternative lyrics?
Yeah, we're going to sing through This Little Light of Mine as you know it, and then I'm going to yell out, we've got the light of grace, and we'll sing that verse.
Oh, okay.
And then, we've got the light of love, we'll sing that verse. Then we'll sing This Little Light of Mine again, and then we'll be done.
Yes. Peace, Jesus.
Ready? This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. We've got the light of grace.
Today's view coming to you is from Mary Neal Jones. I'm reading 2 emails from her with her knowledge and consent. She is joining us online today. If you knew Barry, you are a better person for your paths have crossed. I'm fortunate to have known Barry. I feel honored to be able to share these with you today. Mary. Text of email number 1. Hi everyone. If you are receiving this email, it is because you are important to Barry, and I know he would want you to know that. Most of you know that Barry had a serious fall near the end of our hike at Wheat Island, where we were hiking with our daughter Evelyn late in the afternoon of July 3rd. He was rushed to the emergency room at Bayfront with a concussion, small bilateral brain bleeds, and some big wounds on his face and arms. He spent almost a week in the neuro ICU, and then another week in a step-down unit, and he received excellent care in both settings. The initial injuries, including the concussion and brain bleeds, resolved within a week. Unfortunately, he never gained the ability to swallow, and the temporary tube that was used to provide nutrition and medication had to be removed within 2 weeks of placement. Through it all, Barry has been patient, kind, and accepting, yet also playful at times. He wanted to plan a dinner party for his French conversation group to be held in his hospital room. Delightful, but yes, a little loopy, he was worried about a move from one bed to another. Afterward, the nurse asked him how it went for him, and he said, "Great, how was it for you?" Everyone in the room howled. On the stretcher, heading to the ambulance, he sang an old gospel song that the blind boys of Alabama sing. This could be the last time. It was a huge favorite for both of us through the years. It has been wonderful for us to see him being very much himself until the past few days when it became clear he was beginning the process of dying. Barry moved into hospice on Friday evening, July 15th. We are grateful to have our 2 children, Brant and Evelyn, and my sister Jenny here with us during this time. We are surrounding Barry with calm, music that he loves, family stories, and love. It is a difficult, confusing, sometimes funny, and overwhelmingly sad time for us. But the feeling that overrides my grief is the deepest gratitude for Barry, for our life together, for our children, for Barry's jiu-jitsu here at the end that looks like it will help him peacefully avoid the worst ravages of Parkinson's progression. We are also deeply grateful for the people in our lives. Thanks to everyone who sent encouragement, support, and worked to make our life easier during this time. Special heartfelt thanks to the care committee at Unitarian Universalist Church of St. Pete, Lost and Found, Barry's French Conversation Group, my UUSP Covenant Group, our family, friends, neighbors who became friends, and others who defy category. Thank you. We love you all. No need to reply. We just want you to understand where we are. With gratitude, Mary Neal. And email number 2. Hi, everyone. I didn't expect to be writing this email so soon. Barry's breathing was much easier yesterday, and he was enjoying the music he was hearing, and of course the presence of Evelyn, Brant, Jenny, and me. His nurse thought it was likely he would need a few more days to complete the process of dying. But he slipped quickly and easily into death yesterday afternoon. It felt like he was just ready to let go. He always was attracted to sleep. We are heartbroken he is gone, but so grateful for his presence in our lives. And I keep reminding myself that his death freed him from an incredibly difficult future with Parkinson's along the run. We will plan an informal memorial service, celebration of life for him in St. Petersburg in the fall or winter when the weather is less intense. We hope to have a small graveside service in Akron, Ohio, in the fall for interment. I will send out information once arrangements are set. Thanks again to all of you for holding Barry and our family in your hearts and for all the kindness, compassion, and support. We cherish each of you. Mary Neal.
Thank you, Bill. Thank you, Mary Neal. I know you're watching us on YouTube Live, and I hope you can feel the love from this sanctuary to you and to your family. Please rise as you are willing and able for hymn number 123, Spirit of Life. Hitzman and Joanne Kellner. Joanne is singing the part of a theist, which is someone who believes in a supreme being, but Joanne says she's actually not a theist, but she has agreed to play one on TV. You want to bring that up a little?
I am humanist. I think that you're naive. You have no truth to offer as truth. You simply say, I believe. New age bubbles get you in trouble, lost in a feel-good fluff. True understanding is quite demanded. Praying is not enough. Totally unprepared are you to make a case that's plain. Maybe the incense chants and drums have battled your poor brain. You need someone older and wiser telling you what to do. You are theist, I am humanist. I will think for you.
You are humanist, you're locked inside your head. You're existential, self-referential, claiming that God is dead. Occam's razor, Pascal's wager, solas tautology. Wisdom, tradition, not erudition, make much more sense to me. Totally unprepared are you to let go of your mind. How about a leap of faith, my friend? You might like what you find. When you find that you're out of answers, you won't know what to do. I am theist, you are humanist. I will pray for you.
We cannot agree on everything. Each has a point Thanks, both of you. Thank you, Aaron. Now, many of you know that I used to perform a one-man play called Voices of Men. The play uses humor and celebrity impressions to educate audiences about gender-based violence. I once met a German colleague in an international conference for Men Against Violence, and I told him what I did, and he looked into my eyes very serious and said, "Why do you use humor?" One could ask the same question about using humor in a church service, but the Encyclopedia of Religion, 2nd edition, page 4174, tells us that the relation of religion and humor is of more importance than has generally been recognized and deserves fuller exploration and reflection. I hope you agree, but in case you don't, Trish and what kids we have, or what adults are willing, are going to make it a little more interesting and fun. I'm going to give my reflection until I hear Trish make this kazoo sound. At which point, I have to stop. And one of the kids or one of the adults will then select a voice, and I have to, from that point on, do the rest of my reflection doing an impression of that voice.
Ooh.
We'll see how it goes. And I will end the reflection using my own voice. Are you going to do it from up here?
I can do it right here.
Okay, so you'll choose it then?
We need a volunteer.
Okay, so can I let you get the volunteers?
Yes.
All right, cool.
Who would like to be the voice
The chooser. Would anyone be willing to be the chooser of voices? Because we're doing it from up here. Oh, that'd be great. Thank you. Come on up.
All right, come on up. Yeah.
Thank you. I'll just begin in my voice. So, why use humor? Why choose humor and laughter as a spiritual practice? After all, humor and laughter can harm as well as help. Jokes can be at the expense of someone's race, of gender, of sexual orientation, disability, size, and so forth. And anyone who's been the victim of bullying, as I have, and as others have, knows that laughter can be used to harm.
I would like to hear that in a French accent.
French accent. Can you say it into the microphone next time?
Sure.
When we confront someone who has committed harm with humor, they often defend themselves by saying, "Oh, it's just a joke." Thus they gaslight you while they protect themselves from scrutiny. Responsible comedians, however, craft their comedy to make the world a funnier place for everyone, not just at the expense of individuals or specific groups.
Well then, that was quite good. Could we hear a Russian accent?
If you consider humor art form, and I do, then you draw upon the fields of aesthetics and art criticism for inspiration. Writing in 1989, author Susie Gabnick advocates that artists create their art to be inherently communicative and compassionately responsive. That covers humor as art, but what about spiritual practice? Many of us choose spiritual practices to help us, to help us feel better and bring us together with others.
It's about to take a dark turn.
Darth Vader.
Darth Vader.
Research on humor in educational settings shows that humor and laughter can increase group cohesion. Part of what we may call covenant, as well as cope with stress. The Harvard Neuroscientist Institute agrees, adding that laughing brains release an array of endorphins, such as dopamine and serotonin. The humor engages various parts of the brain, the frontal lobe, to process the information and to search for pattern recognition.
It's time for Kermit the Frog.
Kermit.
Kermit the Frog.
So when Alan and Joanne were singing, and when Bill was telling the story about the atheist and the bear, our frontal lobes recognized the arguments for humanism and atheism, respectively. But already, the incongruity of singing those arguments was having an effect, releasing those endorphins that the Russian guy talked about. Our Harvard neuroscience friends say this is a brain shifting from a cognitive response to an emotional response arising deep within the nucleus accumbens of the brain. The dopamine plays a role in helping the brain process emotional responses, and the serotonin helps to buoy our mood, while other endorphins help to regulate our pain and stress.
That was Lady Yoda.
Oh, God.
As a minister, often humor from the pulpit do I use. Sometimes the humor unintentional is. Like last week when forgot did I what I was about to say. Do this not just because fun for me it is, but because you are more likely to retain what saying I am the funny I am.
Voice of choice.
Oh, I choose my voice. Thank you. Humor and laughter can also help us deal with difficult topics and situations. Mary Neal spoke about Barry singing the gospel tune, "This Could Be the Last Time," while on a stretcher to the ambulance. And when the nurse asked how to move from one bed to another went, he replied, "Great, how was it for you?" Now, I aspire to be as graceful as Barry when dealing with the possibility of my own death. And I think we all can take Barry's lesson using respectful humor, even when things seem most dire. Excuse me. Yoda in particular takes that. Now, our modern UU denomination can be a pretty funny one, whether intentional or not. Many of you know about my involvement in the Unitarian Universalist Hysterical Society. I don't see Karen Cole today. Do I see Karen Cole? It's online. Karen Cole, I brought a mug home from you from the UU General Assembly. I bought it at the UU Hysterical Society table. And it's a present for you, and it says, quote, "This is more of a comment than a question," end quote. And then it says, "Traditional UU proverb." Our history, however, doesn't support the use of humor as much as a spiritual practice. Both Unitarianism and Universalism are historically Christian denominations, though many of the folks in this room do not identify probably as Christian. But even before the Common Era, Plato and Aristotle called laughter and humor morally questionable. And 4th century Christian leader John Chrysostom made a point of noting that Jesus never laughed, raised the question of how Christians could possibly laugh when they thought of the suffering of Christ. And Chrysostom spoke of laughter and mirth leading to sin. Little known fact, maybe John Lithgow's character in, what's that movie? What?
Third Rock of the Sun?
No, not Third Rock of the Sun. What's the movie where he dances?
Oh.
Anyway, the minister, John Lithgow.
Footloose.
Footloose, yeah. I was just thinking it sounds like a guy from Footloose. Thank you to the 3 of you that got that reference. Despite this, modern Christian theologians defend the use of humor. In his essay, "The Redemptive Power of Humor in Religion," Belgian theologian Hans Geibels said that most people, if asked which concept they would associate with religion, humor, or violence, would doubtless reply violence. Geibels continues saying, "Christianity tends to be immediately associated with the Crusades, the Inquisition, witch hunts, religious wars, and so on. Both believers and non-believers tend to equate religion with seriousness, profundity, reverence. The average homily does little to lighten one's mood. And that's why we supposedly preach good news.
Nonetheless, Geibel says, in day-to-day pastoral care, humor is essential. Humor helps put things in place, and to blow off steam, laughter can be a means to evangelize. Humor is an integral dish in the table of God's creation, and so it should be on the Christian menu.
Thank you. That's a Belgian. Dr. Courtney Godot, whose voice is not different from mine too much. One of my favorite professors at Boston University School of Theology. She says that humor, quote, provokes the faithful into questioning their own reactions to the marginalized. It makes them aware of their hidden prejudices, pride, and self-centered preoccupations, and thus to consider the wisdom expressed in holy foolery. Now, Dr. Goto, before I took her class, had her students dress up as clowns and go out to the campus of BU, accost other students without speaking, kind of invite them over to a corner into a love feast of juice and cookies. Speaking about the experience, Dr. Goto said, quote, students temporarily gave up the privilege of speaking, putting themselves at odds with the dominant culture and their own habitual ways of communicating. In addition, Goto says, dressing and acting as social outcasts were sacrifices of dignity, predictability, and normalcy for the sake of others, as well as their own learning. I'm thinking of Virginia and Cal Fox when they dress up for their announcements. Dr. Goto champions clowning as an underutilized yet essential way to preach the Christian gospel. Again, this is her Christian perspective, but I think the lessons translate well for our UU spiritual practice. Goto says, while study, sacrament, and service are some of the many respected historic ways of forming learners in loving dispositions, we must acknowledge that they are not as consistently effective as they might be and as educators intend. Unfortunately, she says, it is entirely possible to go through the motions of study, sacrament, and service while protecting oneself from relating to others deeply, authentically, and with mutual vulnerability, all of which are essential to loving. Worse still, she says, it is tempting to congratulate ourselves on being loving without challenging cultures, structures, and processes that oppress and marginalize. Dr. Goto continues, it's not that study, sacrament, or service are pedagogically lacking, but that human beings constantly resist loving, especially those who are deemed less worthy of love. The case of clowning, she says, provides inspiration for revitalizing the prophetic nature of traditional pedagogies for teaching love. Clowning makes palpable and inescapable the need to enlarge learners' experiences of and with others, thereby challenging and transforming oppressive cultures, structures, and processes. Now, I would argue that in the light of Dr. Goto's analysis, one of our most important ministries of last year was Trunk or Treat. Many of you were there, but for those who were new, folks worked hard to decorate their cars and dress up in costumes, even those who don't traditionally dress up in costumes. And it was hilarious. We all bought candy and we greeted people. Dr. Goto would say, you sacrificed your dignity, your predictability, and your normalcy for the sake of others. It was also one of the few times we got to be together physically during COVID and social distancing. It was one of my favorite days. It was a day of laughter, a day of giving, a day of supporting one another, a day of meeting new people, some of whom then joined UU St. Pete. That's ministry. That's on our mission. So as we begin our second year of my ministry here, as we absorb the important lessons from our transition team, let us ask ourselves, what lessons can we learn from Trunk or Treat? What lessons can we learn from the late Barry, our beloved Barry, singing a gospel song while on a stretcher? What can we learn from Alan and Joanne, singing a duet
that gives voice to real theological debate, but does so while making us laugh. What can we learn from Virginia and Cal? Parading through saying socks and undies, encouraging us to donate to charity. To summarize, I have brought a respected colleague with me.
Aaron thinks we should be like Virginia and Cal. Aaron thinks we should be like Barry. Let us take one another seriously, but not take ourselves too seriously. Let us risk appearing undignified. Let us show our love for one another and for the world in kind ways, but also in ways that make us laugh.
Amen. Blessed be.
Now let us remember our connection to one another, and let us not forget our contributions to support the means for those connections. The link to give online is in the description box below your screen. You can also donate through the Banco Faith Engagement mobile app or on our website under the Giving tab at uustpete.org, or by sending a check to the church office. In the sanctuary, our ushers will now pass the offering bowls. If you are a newcomer here, please refrain from making a donation. This service is our gift to you, and your presence is a gift to us. Many thanks.
Restraint and not running to the air-conditioned coffee hour. I want to leave you with these words before we leave. May we all find things to laugh about. May we all find beings we can laugh with. May we help create a world where laughter and humor resound. Amen. Blessed be. Ashe. Feel free to follow along with the hand gestures as Bill extinguishes our chalice. The words to our traditional chalice extinguishing are in your order of service, and online they are in the text chat. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of love, or the fire of courage. These we carry in our hearts out into the world.